Good afternoon, folks. John Cantera, the Double Broker Bounty Hunter, here with Stop the Scam. So glad you could join us this week. I apologize about last week. I was sick as a dog. I barely have my voice back. I probably won't have it by the time the show is over, but that's okay. But I really wanted to make sure that we got this show going because joining us today are some special guests. We have uh, Rob and Hunter from the Logistics Lounge joining us. They're another logistics podcast. They do everything from a broker perspective, and they're on a few times a week. By all means, please check them out. I've got their LinkedIn stuff on the bottom of the screen. So please, by all means, hook up with them and check them out when they go live. They are always very entertaining, and their production value is so much better than ours. So my hat's off to them for that. So Kate and I are going to go ahead and run off with some updates on some investigations we've been running. Kate, I know you got some more on MABE. Let's go ahead and hit that one.
More complaints. They just keep coming. They keep coming and it's nonstop. And if I thought my phone rang all the time, all day long before, it's insane now. It's so sad that all of these people are being screwed out of their money. And I have personally heard out of their mouths that they it's like they think it's funny. They think it's funny. We were on the phone and one of the carriers had called them. He was on there and I said, one of these days somebody's going to take you to court. Like eventually somebody's still going to have some money left over after you pick the crap out of their pockets and they're going to take you to court. And he just kind of like laughed it off. Oh, you're like the 100th person to say that. You know, it's just really sad. So do your due diligence and look into who it is that you're trying to work with, because people, especially Facebook, some people don't like Facebook, that's fine. Some people don't like social media, that's fine. But get on the dang internet and just search. People talk on Facebook. Some people never stop. So get on Facebook and just search. Search who it is that you're talking about, who you're talking to. And I mean, there's so many things that come up. So many trucking groups are public. So many things will come up. It's insane. So the FMCSA, originally I was going to try to compile all this information myself and present it to the FMCSA. However, it's too much. It's becoming too much. So for anybody who has an issue or has ever been um taken advantage of, I guess, in terms of authority leasing or any kind of anything as it relates to leasing anything in the logistics world, there is actually a new division, I guess, or a new something they created within the FMCSA. I think it's called the Truck Leasing Task Force. The email is like tltf@fmcsa.gov. And you can email all of your information there. Highly recommend that you send any supporting documentation for whatever your issue is to that email. You cannot call them. There's no phone number to get a hold of them, but you can email them and they will see it. So I'm not saying that anything.
If you could do me a favor and in the banner section, put together a banner with that email address so we can post that up there for everybody in case someone else has got this issue. That way we can get some awareness out there. If you can go ahead and put that together, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I'm on my phone and I don't really know how to work it. So I just got a new phone.
Text,
I'll look this thing.
text me the email address. I'll throw it up for you.
Okay, I have to. All right, I won't be able to hear you for a second, but I'll send it to you right now.
Oh, that's quite all right. I'll do my update. So anyway, I just wanted to give everyone a quick shout. With me being sick all last week, I didn't have a lot going on. But I deal a lot with fraud cases that extend out for a period of time. One of the latest I did was a claims issue. Carrier was given a freight guard for failing to settle on a claim. The way I ended up getting that freight guard removed was that I convinced the broker that we should do a joint investigation to determine liability. That joint investigation uncovered a third party witness who corroborated the shipper side of the story and put all of the liability squarely on the carrier. Well, I'm sorry, carriers, I can't defend you if, well, frankly, you're liable. So I'm going to do the best I can to put you in the best possible negotiating terms. So we had negotiated settlement terms. I also provided the necessary documentation for their insurance company so the insurance company can go ahead and take on the claim. And then I was ghosted for over a month. I get hired to remove these freight guards. I stay on free of charge to consult and help these carriers deal with these claims so that it doesn't impact them dramatically, especially if it's a $10,000 claim at one time. One 2-truck fleet can't absorb that in a shot. Well, I can negotiate terms to make that more palatable. They went behind my back. They agreed to the terms that I had set up with the broker originally. They signed an agreement last week and never informed me. And of course, they stiffed me out of my bill. So there were some choice words over the weekend when I found out about all this, and we compelled them to pay. Of course, they are doing everything they can to complain about it, but I've got a service agreement, folks. I promised I was going to get rid of the freight guard. I promised I was going to help out in the negotiations free of charge after the freight guard was removed. I followed through on all my promises. Thankfully, they finally paid. So good stuff. Good stuff. Guys, what we do is a very specialized service. Most people cannot call brokers and get them to remove freight guards. We have a very high success rate of doing so, and it's because of our approach and our ability to negotiate with brokers. So if you have an issue, contact us. We can do what we can to help you. We'll give you a quick idea of what the odds are. Unlike most lawyers or anybody else that does this, you do not pay up front. With a double broker bounty hunter, you only pay when the results come through. It's $500 to get a freight guard removed, and only if we're successful. If we are not successful, it's only a $50 investigation fee. And again, you don't pay until it's all over and done with. So that's the guarantee. If you sit there and call an attorney, you're going to spend $1,000 just in the retainer and the time for them to write the letter threatening like hell the brokers. And boy, that really does not get you anywhere. My success rate's over 80%. So if you got an issue with a freight guard, give us a shout. Kate and I both are very good at this. So you can always hit us up. Just email us dbbh.hotline@vigilanttransport.com or kprice@rockdovefs.com, and we'll be happy to help you in any way we can. All right. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get to our guests from the Logistics Lounge. Fellas, it's so glad to finally have you here. I know we've tried twice or 3 times now to get you guys out here, but I'm glad you're finally here. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, John. It's good to be here. Things happen, so glad that we can get it done and finally get over here.
Yeah. So why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. Well, my name's Hunter Woodfin. I'm the freight hound on the Logistics Lounge. I've been in the industry for, I don't know, about 6-7 years now. Got my big start at one of the 3-letter devils that we like to call them, big brokerage type. Fell in love with drayage over there and have had quite the journey so far. Opened up a brokerage out of Montreal here in Nashville. Lived up in Chicago for a little while. Worked asset based on both sides, truckload and drayage, and have gone into some international stuff. And now I am here with Rain Dogs Trucking and Logistics based out of Willowbrook. So handling some dry load stuff there, helping them launch their drayage department, and fighting the good fight right alongside you, John. Double broker bounty hunter junior.
Okay, Rob, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Rob.
There you go. That's all anyone needs to know. I mean,
that's all.
Just from the beard, that's it.
Robert Peterson. Everyone calls me Pedro Potato. Got into logistics in the military. Was an 88 Mike. Got hurt. Got out of the military. Took that. Got my CDL. Drove over the road and locally for 10 and a half years. Put myself through school behind the wheel of a truck. Got a degree in logistics management or logistics supply chain management. Several other certifications and stuff in logistics, and went and worked on the I guess you say the shipper side. I was a transportation manager at a company that contracted through Home Depot. I was a logistics manager for international freight at the airport at Dallas-Fort Worth, and fell into brokering. I mean, really because of COVID, I think like a lot of people, and I know that sounds bad, but I really wasn't looking to be a broker. I got approached by someone to help them open a brokerage, and just kind of stuck with it. 3.5 years later, here I am. And now I chill 3 days a week with my home slice over here, Mr. Hound, and we do the logistics lounge, and we're just out there, man, helping do our part to keep America moving, Breivik.
That's right.
Had some minor technical difficulties there for a second. That's what happens when someone tries to call your phone while you're trying to do stuff.
Hunter, don't you say a word. Don't you say a word.
It's okay. We got technology Rob over here for a reason. He is the troubleshoot bottleneck.
I wanted to throw up the email address that Kate was talking about earlier. We will make sure that we feature this on future episodes as well for those who may miss it. But if you have any issues with leasing problems, if you're an owner operator, this is the email address that you send your complaints to. If you're going to bother sending a complaint to DOT, do yourself a favor. Have good evidence, number one. Number two, speak professionally in your email. You need to describe the problem. You need to describe the impact that it had on you, not just this guy's a piece of turd. You know, I mean, you can't just put that in an email. They're not going to take you seriously. So please make your emails professional. Give as much factual information as you can. And that gives DOT something to look into if they go in and they investigate your claim. So just a friendly tip there. And if you have issues with this in the future, you can always contact us. We can help you put that email together. All right. We're back to it with you guys. You know, I was first introduced to you guys probably about 6 months ago. You guys did a show on fraud in the industry and invited me on. Thank you so much for that. And you've done a few more shows since. But boy, you guys have been deal with fraud on a completely different angle. I mean, I represent carriers, and you guys are coming at it from the broker side. So what you got? I'm opening the door for you.
Where to begin? Well, I guess I'll start off here. So the first time I really started seeing the double broker forefront, and I'm sure this is the same with a lot of other brokers, is that peak time around March of 2022. The world's shutting down, America's shutting down, everybody's getting scared, getting sick, refusing to go into the office, if they can even go into the office. And the great Glendale scam started sweeping the nation. And I mean, just since then, I mean, it's gone from, mega 3PL corporation out of Edinburgh, Texas, and they had their 5,000 whatever MC MC numbers come across. And I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff, John. It's not just your typical, like, I'm running from California to Illinois, so I'm going to throw a flip phone in the back of a dry van and rail it and just tell you that the truck's been breaking down across the country for 7 days. It's been just John Wayne's coming across. I don't know why all these double brokers think that every American has two names. I've seen an entire double brokerage operation where they had wrestler names. So we had, everything but Triple H come across the board. John Cena's, Dwayne Johnson, but it got to a funny point, and but it was sad though, because we didn't know what to expect. This was, as a young broker, and especially at like a new authority, this is when, we were starting up this brokerage through the Canadian company. So our MC number was fresh. So we were having to pick from anybody that would work with us, because they didn't know like we would pay them, yada yada. So yeah, it was an uphill battle. And so fighting through that, it was an absolute slaughter. I mean, we would have to just do it whatever we could. And, back in those days, there weren't as many people fighting, against it, because obviously it's been a thing for a long time, but, we didn't have people like you, or people like Carrier Check, or, people like Dale Prax out here that are on the forefront telling us what we need to look out for. So fast forward to these days, and I know we'll get into much more depth about it, but I mean, you just have to check. Like, the main thing I'm catching is fake addresses, which if you're out of Wyoming and you're in the same building as 1,500 different companies, or, you have a good MC number and your email address is dispatch dot whatever at Gmail, like, I'm catching it left and right. I've seldomly had anybody that has gotten under and, taking a load from me without knowing, but it is scary, because for all I know, I have been double broken and have no idea. But it's tricky. It's very tricky. Bait and switch.
There's a nice little comment here. Bait and switch. I have seen bait and switch tactics getting used sometimes by some brokers who are having a hard time covering a load. For example, and if I'm correct about who this particular user is, they had inquired on a load on a Friday that they wanted to deliver on a Monday, but delivery was on Tuesday morning. So they would end up losing all day Monday.
Right.
So they denied the load. Well, they got called back later saying, oh, no, the delivery is going to be Monday morning now. So they went ahead and they took the load. And of course, as soon as they show up for delivery, no, your appointment is tomorrow morning. And the broker just offered them a paltry $250 for the layover instead of the $1,500 that the carrier asked for to sit on the load. So bait and switch is one of the big issues that a lot of carriers are complaining about. What do you guys know about that from the broker perspective?
So I'll get to that one, and because I watch everything. That's a guy named Tom Wilkinson. That's who that is, John. Anyway, so as far as the double broker thing, Tim Wilkinson. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, Tim. I didn't mean to say your name wrong. The double broker thing, I've experienced it since I got into the industry as a broker. I mean, I came in 2020, I think August 2020. So I've just dealt with it from day one. Now, I did not know about how big of an issue it was. I had heard, but I didn't know how big of an issue it was till I got to the company I'm at now. And so I will admit it is probably highly likely that I was double brokered with the first company that I worked with, because we had no processes in place. Like Hunter said, we were new MC, no credit. It was like, shit, if you're sorry, John. If you're going to run my load, like,
watch your fucking language, dude.
Hey, I know how we are, man. And like, sometimes I forget, and I think Hunter has too, like, oh crap, this isn't our show, man. Especially since it's StreamYard. It's so weird. Anyhow. So, and I actually had my first experience with catching a double broker. I don't know, probably about 2 months after I got here. And luckily it was just a carrier who paid attention. And I want to say that we can have all the processes out there in the world, but you carriers are on the front line. Like us brokers, we need your help too on this stuff. You know what I mean? Because I'm telling you, 99% of the time, we're not aware that the situation is going on. And simple things like looking at a BOL, which is exactly what this guy did. My shipper, he puts my name on the BOL, not the carrier I send, my name. And they caught that and they called me up, and it ended up going good for that guy. He ended up getting paid, I think it was $1,200 more than what he booked it for with the double broker. And coincidentally, he was a carrier, brand new MC, like 32 days old. Nobody's going to work with him. And, he just took what he could get. So, but, since then, like Hunter said, I have seen it come in many shapes and forms. I've seen the scams just really evolve over time. It was pretty easy at first, anything with like a Gmail handle, that was an automatic like red flag. And people say that, but in our mind, when it only costs $12 to get a business domain, it's like, if you can't do that, that's an issue.
For a year, by the way, for a year.
Yeah, $12 for a year. I mean, that's cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap. It's nothing. Yeah. So, and then things just evolve from there. So, we've had to implement more processes and add layers to the things that we do to try to, mitigate our risk and the risk of the carrier. And I'll say that the double broker thing it's one of those things in the industry that very few people will admit it, but us, the carriers and the brokers, we're on the backside of this thing, man. Like these people are staying steps ahead of us. And it sucks to say that, but we are and always have been in this game playing catch up, which is usually the way it is with most scams. You know what I mean? Ponzi schemes, real estate schemes, anything you want to go through, it's usually the people trying to fix it, or on the back end, trying to catch up. So it's been quite a challenge, but if you implement the right things, right processes, use the right software and databases and such, then it's pretty easy to keep yourself from being double brokered as a broker. Now, carriers, that's a whole nother word for y'all, or a whole nother issue for y'all, because carriers struggle enough out there as it is to pay for fuel and insurance, and try to tack on something. I don't even know what highway costs a month, but tack on highway a month, or tack on e-carrier check, which, shout out to Jared and Nate, e-carrier check. Y'all do want a good one, go check them out. Nate and them will give y'all a month free to check out the platform. And it's a lot more than just verification stuff. But, things like that are hard. And also dispatchers, they sometimes don't have time to be getting on FMCSA or all these other things and calling every single number that is listed for a broker and verifying information and things. So, it really kind of sucks for y'all to say that in a way, the shit kind of rolls downhill if we miss it, and y'all get stuck with it. Tim, I want to roll right into your comment or question, comment, whatever. Personally, I'll say I've never heard of this. I will be quite honest with you. I've never heard of it, and I talked to a lot of carriers. Now, I will say I have done that, but by accident. It was completely my fault. I set up an appointment one day, and it wasn't correct, and I ended up paying the guy like $500, which is, he asked for 1,000. We made it 500, and I still lost 400. But obviously, man, that's shitty practices, on a broker's front. I don't see the point in booking a load just to lose $250 because the shipper's not going to pay that. So unless they're making a crazy margin, that's really just a waste of time, to me and anyone else. And also, maybe brokers don't care, but this broker does. It makes you look bad, man. And it continues to drive that narrative that brokers are dirt bags and always doing underhanded things and stuff like that. And Hunter will agree with me as soon as I shut my mouth, but I can't stand that shit.
Yeah.
I can't stand that. Like, just in the military, John, you get it, man. Hey, honesty and integrity. Those are like the two most valuable character traits you need to have in your life, period. Be honest with any and everybody that you come in contact with, whether it's personal or business, and have some damn integrity about yourself. You know what I mean? So yeah, sorry, Tim. I really can't speak on it besides saying, like, what a shitbag.
Yeah. I mean, that just does come down to sheer dishonesty. And I will hold my tongue, but I have an idea of a group of people that would potentially do this because you know what? You tell the carrier what they want to hear, they sign the rate con. Well, carriers aren't reading that fine print. So they go there and they sit and, they have a day of just being stuck. Well, hey, man, you signed that contract, $250. It is what it is. But yeah, that is absolutely just unfair. I mean, I don't know any other way to get around that except for just know the broker that you're working with.
Can we
That's
touch on warehouseman documents for a second?
yeah.
It's your show,
How
Kate.
so?
Well, I meant kind of from a broker perspective, because that kind of has a lot to do with the broker. It goes to the broker. So, have you ever been hit with one? Has anybody ever given you one?
Hit
Say
with the
that
what?
again. A warehouse. What? I heard document. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
It's a warehouseman document. It basically is a formal piece of paper that says, hey, your load is sitting on my trailer. I was told that I could deliver it at this time and they will not take it. So here I am serving you this piece of paper that says this is my rate and this is what you're going to pay me for having it on my trailer for the extra XXX amount of time.
I have
No,
not.
because
The
I've
only
never.
thing I've had an instance in that is like, like especially delivering to like some of these bigger warehouses where it's you miss this appointment or they don't have an appointment. It could be 2 weeks out, but the shipper's gonna, you got to get it out regardless. So it can be a tricky situation. But the only instance I've seen of anything close to that is a carrier threatening to hold the load hostage, which really sucks. Or you got to find somewhere else to deliver.
Always a bad idea, folks.
Yep.
Always a
Yep.
bad
Or you
idea.
have carriers like Rob's that will push them off the side of the highway. I'm kidding, but yeah, I don't know. That's tough. I've never even heard of that, but I mean, I think that's something that carriers should probably be known about because that
See, I
makes it a
don't
whole
know
different
how that,
ballgame.
but I don't know how it works in terms of, I don't know a whole lot about it. I know what it is, but I've never personally sent one. I've never personally used it. I just kind of have like a draft of it just in case.
Right.
But it kind of seems like, and I could be wrong, but it kind of seems like it falls into the same. So if there's a carrier rate circular, you know what that is? So if there's,
Talking about a tariff?
yes. So when there's a tariff, it goes from the bill of lading is the first initial go-to document, right? And then it goes to the rate con, if I'm not mistaken, and then it defaults to the carrier's rate tariff. Is that right? Am I right?
I'm gonna take.
I'm
I'm
not
gonna take your
entirely
word for
sure.
it. I've
Yeah,
honestly.
I can't
Yeah,
Yeah,
speak
we're
on
working
that.
on the spot market as long as I have. Yeah, it's all about the rate confirmations for me.
Well,
I mean, hell,
Yeah.
I really have hit anything on tariffs.
I mean, I've never seen it. I've never seen like detention pay or layover pay or anything like that specified on the bill of lading. But from what I understand, it automatically, the bill of lading is like the number one. That's what it would go to. And then if there's nothing on the bill of lading, then it defaults to the rate confirmation. If there's nothing on the rate confirmation, then it defaults to the carrier's rate tariff. But I think and by the way, maybe this is a little hypocritical because my carriers don't have rate tariffs. I need to make them some, but everybody needs to have one in the event that something like that happens. And there are a whole lot of rate confirmations that do not specify detention, layover, any of that. So if you kind of don't really have a leg to stand on if you don't have one, like you can't just demand it. You can try, but it's not going to get you anywhere except into a fight. So everybody should have one. But my point is, I don't know where a warehouseman falls in terms of that. Like, I don't know if that is any more accepted, I guess, or like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I
get
think
what
we're
you're saying.
starting.
Hunter, we actually, I don't know if you were in the room on X the other night, but someone was actually talking about this. It may have been TJ, I don't know, but someone had a load and some shit had went down and the load couldn't get delivered. And
that was a nil. But yeah, see, a nil, but a nil's in contract freight. He's with Cargill, so he was getting paid like $600 a day, like because that trailer just had to sit. So I mean, that's more. I mean, that's direct, compared to going through a broker. On my side, like if I'm picking up a load from whoever and they, say, hey, you got to set up an appointment with this receiver. Well, if that receiver says I don't have anything until Tuesday and it's obviously a 3-day load, well, I'm going to talk to my shipper and say, hey, can you call somebody and see if we can't work something out? Because most of the times, like, you can work your way in there. Or like, if it's, because nobody wants to spend that money. Nobody's going after anybody and trying to screw them over. So, I mean, communication does help out a lot, but, the warehouse thing, that would definitely be something to look at, because if I sent that to my shipper or whoever and was like, hey, like, this is what's going on, I can pay them the 200, or I probably won't tell them I can pay the $250 because that's just not fair for anybody. But that gives you a little more leg room to, a little more foundation to stand on than just, hey, my driver has to sit for a day. Well, they don't know how much it costs for a driver to sit for a day unless they've been in this industry for a long time. So,
and I want to add this, that like I've heard, now that you've explained it, I've heard exactly what you're talking about. And if I'm understanding what you're saying, is it's basically the carrier saying, hey, my trailer just turned into a damn warehouse and here's my warehouse fee. Am I correct on that, Kate?
Pretty much.
Okay. All right. So I have heard of that, and I almost had it happen to me one time, but it was the driver's fault and he didn't think that we were going to catch it, and I caught it. But anyway, long story short is, here's what it comes down to in that situation is it's going to be, like you said, a reverting back to the rate con on the broker side. And, the carrier can send whatever they want. Hey, I need $1,000 for this load, or I'm not delivering it, or whatever. And then, broker says, hey, well, the rate con says, here's what the detention and the layover policy is going to be, so forth and so on. If you decide to hold the freight hostage, then the game gets upped, and we're talking about filing claims and doing all this stupid, nasty stuff that we all know what goes on. And then it becomes like the hostage freight situation, which I've ran into carriers who they love that. It's, oh, I'll just hold your stuff hostage, and I'm the broker. Have fun. I don't care. Sit there with it for 5 days. I really don't give a shit. I'll do my best to get it off, but I want to say I'm not the broker this happens to, because I schedule appointments accordingly. Last week, I actually canceled a guy getting loaded. He was getting loaded, and the place came back and said, dude, we cannot take this for another week. And I paid the guy $250 tow new, and he only drove 5 blocks, but completely my fault. I didn't know, and stuff like that. So I don't know. I mean, I've heard those things, like I said, but you kind of gets in that gray area right there, because like you said, it's the BOL. Really, things aren't specified on there. Then it's going to roll to the rate con, and unless you're a carrier who by some miracle Ajibus was able to get a broker to sign your carrier agreement saying this is what my fees, tariffs, all that stuff are, then you have all the ground. I will say that. Now, to back up, good luck getting most brokers to sign those things. I know it sounds crappy, but I'm just saying good luck doing it. But yeah, I guess that's my 2 cents on it.
Do they have to sign it, or is it, because I always thought that it was
Nope.
that they have to be aware of it. The broker has to be aware of it. So like so when I sign up with a broker and I send over my W-9 and my notice of assignment and my COI and authority letter, I would also have to send over that rate tariff. They just have to know that it's there.
I don't know. I'm not the legal guy, but I would say that, okay, it would, I don't know, gray area. I'm not a legal person. I really don't want to comment on it, but I would say it's just like everything in this industry. It doesn't mean shit if it ain't got a signature on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or something not notated somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And I'll tell you from someone who, when my first job as a broker, those guys coincidentally, it was two guys and both of them were carriers. They owned a combined like 7 trucks, and that was their move. Hey, we're a carrier, want to get into a broker, and they actually had a carrier agreement that I sent with every single packet. And I'll tell you, I don't think I had that thing maybe signed one time, which, you know, kind of sounds hypocritical. I can see where it does, you know, because the broker makes sure that you sign theirs. But I mean, again, I don't know. I can't really speak on legalese of it. But yeah, I would think it would have to be signed by myself, you know what I mean? Or something like, hey, I sent you this tariff thing. I need you to acknowledge that you've seen and understand it. So even if they don't sign it, you know, you could have something in an email saying that. But again, I mean, good luck with most brokers signing it, because legal departments and stuff just aren't going to let that happen, you know. And I guess you just chalk that up to another one of these things in the industry that, you know, we got to try to come together on somewhere somehow, and, you know, start making some standardization and agreements on rates and fees and tariffs and, you know, all of those things.
Yeah, but that's also been one of the issues that have been taking place that have kind of driven a wedge between carriers and brokers over the last couple of years. You know, compliance departments have never been so robust, and it's because of all the scammers that exist in the industry these days. But every medium to large brokerage out there with a dedicated compliance department, they are very particular about their requirements. It's so much so that the relationships that someone like me might have with, say, you guys, if I try to book a load with you, if the carrier I'm representing doesn't cut the mustard for your compliance department, it doesn't matter how good our relationship is. You know, it's not going to happen. And you're finding that these compliance departments are really taking over the industry more so than brokers versus dispatchers or carriers. At least that's just what I'm seeing on my side.
Hey, I just private you, but or privated you, private chat you. Can you pull up? I believe it's still Tim. The as a broker, how would you deal with this comment? Tim, man, if I was the broker in this, well, I fucking would be the broker in this situation. So I just want to put that out there to begin with. I never ever would do that to you. Here's my thing. Me personally, I would call in every favor that I can, man. You know, get with my shipper, you know, calling the receiver, doing everything that I can do to get that taken care of. I guess worst case scenario would be trying to transload it. But I mean, yeah, I would just be calling everyone I could to try to get you in there and saying, hey, like, I'll pay a fee. You know, some places, even if you don't have an appointment or they say they don't have an appointment, you know, they'll have, and I've had this happen more than once, a secret fee schedule where you can pay $250 to squeeze in on a non-scheduled appointment, you know, something like that, you know. So, I mean, that's what I would personally try to do, you know, if I was one on there. I mean, really, that's only the only course of action that I know of. So, but I don't know. I wouldn't be that broker, man. I mean, you know, knock on wood, I haven't yet, and I would be. I'm pretty good on making sure that appointments and stuff are set, because that stuff's real important to me and y'all.
I have to admit, in my experience, when any of my carriers have wound up in a similar situation, you know, you go to Walmart or Amazon, you got a fixed appointment schedule. And yeah, if they miss it, well, okay, we deal with that. But usually the broker has bent over backwards to make sure that we can find a cross dock or something to get it off the truck so that our truck is not being used for storage and we can continue earning. Now, that has just been our experience. Now, to Tim's case specifically, it was specifically it's the bait and switch, and I think we all agree that that is just absolutely wrong and unprofessional on every level imaginable. Now, as I understand it, that situation did end up getting resolved. It did end up getting resolved in a somewhat amicable manner, thank God. But I've got to follow up with the people he's been dealing with to make sure that actually has closed. Tim, I'll give Jen a call later this evening and see what she has to say about it.
Now, so Tim, I will. Well, I tell you what, I'm going to tell you some brokers going to get pissed off at me about this, but I would tell you what.
All right, man. Everyone, turn your recorders on, please. Please, everyone, turn your recorders
on. It is. It's going to make people mad, man. But like, one of the things that I think makes me a good broker is because, like I said, I was out on the road for 10 years, man. Granted, I was never an owner operator, but like, I know what it is to sit, man, and miss my next load, to the house or that next big paycheck. So, I don't know, man. Hey, maybe you got to be that carrier and say, hey, check this out, man. You can either unload it here or you can come pick this shit up 300 miles from my house next week and you can figure it out then. You know what I mean? Oh, and by the way, I'm going to shut my reefer off. Like, I mean, all this is crazy and it could backfire on you, but man, sometimes, man, you got to put pressure on actually brokers like this. You got to put pressure on them because they got to learn the lesson, man. If they did it to you, they've done it to someone else, and they're going to do it again because this is what they see. Oh, I'm making $300 on this load. I'm going to screw over Tim here. I'm going to pay Tim $250 and I'll still make $50. Why they would do that, I don't know. That's just a waste of my time personally, but I know they want to make their customer happy. And so, man, sometimes you just got to teach them a lesson, dude. And if I was in a truck and you didn't get me unloaded and I had somewhere to be like a vacation thing, oh, no, dude. Hey, you can come pick this up from XYZ Main Street, partner. You know what I mean? I'll give you my cousin's phone number. He'll be there and you can work with him and get it unloaded. But, yeah, I really don't know what else to do, man, except for blow that broker up and try to get him to do something. Or maybe you try to take it in your own hands. Call that shipper and or that receiver. See what you can make happen, man.
I have had some carriers like bully their way in there and get that shit unloaded. Like, get out of your truck, talk to somebody, and throw that carrier under the bus. Like, you can play the dirty game and like call that shipper and just say, hey, this guy lied to me. Like, you can send him emails, whatever. Because
1,000%.
you know what? Nobody should be out there doing business like that. Just as easy as a broker can go and throw a freight guard report down for the silliest shit. Like, you can take a customer away from them for pulling something like this.
I bet you Hunter probably agree that customer, that shipper probably has no idea that this is going on right now.
No,
none.
Because like I said before, it takes a phone call. Like they'll move the load. Like a lot of times they can just move the load unless it's something where it's like we have to have unless it's like based on production, and if this load doesn't get here, like, and our whole warehouse is going to shut down, no, they can typically move something around based on like that scenario.
To warn all the carriers who are watching here, be very careful when you try to sit there and assert yourself when you're dealing with brokers. Okay, you have to be professional. You have to make sure that you're paying attention to your legal options. If you have access to an attorney, definitely want to talk to them because holding cargo hostage is a bad answer.
Don't do that.
And
don't show up at a carrier's house.
Open up the back of the truck, screaming towards the back of the warehouse, and slamming the brakes so all the cargo goes sliding out of the truck. Bad answer. Carriers are very proud about what they do. And they're very passionate, but that passionate can come across in a negative way. So be exceptionally careful when you have issues. If you have a third-party dispatcher, such as myself, working for you, use your dispatcher to make that communication between the broker and the receiver. They can usually work something out. If you do not, make sure you're talking to the broker. The best rapport that you can possibly have with the broker is going to help alleviate a lot of the issues that you can come across. And it's a matter of working together. Whether or not anyone doesn't have a solution, that's fine. Find a way, stay on the phone with each other and just figure it out. And that's really going to come a long way into preventing issues for the future, like freight guards, claims, and all these other things. So just throwing that out there for the carrier.
I appreciate you saying that. And let me back up. I am by no means saying that is what you need to do. I'm just saying that sometimes just like brokers put pressure on carriers and shippers put pressure on brokers, like sometimes you've got to put pressure as a carrier on a broker. But I will tell you this, the level of professionalism and the way you do it matters a lot. If you call me and screaming at me, telling me this is what you're going to do, it's probably not going to go your way. Just like you wouldn't do something for me if I call you screaming at me. But if you call on your plight, say, hey, look, man, this was going on. I've got things to do. I've got somewhere to be. I've got this happened and that happened. I can't change it. This is affecting that. Like, we need to figure something out, or I'm going to have to do what's best for me. But like John said, be polite, professional with us. And, Tim, I know your situation is a little different, but, I would, man, try to lean on it, put some pressure on, call the receiver or go back to the receiver, talk to them, call that shipper and talk to them, because that shipper, they don't want their freight sitting on your truck any longer than it needs to be. Like, believe me, they don't, because that stuff has to get delivered for them to get paid. So, a lot of those times, if you start getting the other people involved that the brokers like to try to keep out of the situations like this, then things will get done. And I also want to add, this isn't saying for every little problem that goes out there, you start calling receivers and shippers and yelling and screaming and complaining. But it comes down to things like this, man, where when, you're out of hands to play and you're out of chess moves on the board, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do and lean on someone to get them to do what you need to do.
So for carriers, first start with the broker. Don't make it with the broker. Talk to the shipper and the receiver and talk. It's not a one-way conversation. You don't need to shout at anybody. Everyone is interested in getting that cargo off your truck. Okay. No one is interested in trying to screw you over, at least in most cases. And keep it professional. Please, for the love of God, keep it professional. And you can get through pretty much anything at that point.
I agree. I agree with that. I think that's 100%. A thing sorely missing from this industry now is everyone calls themselves a professional. And man, I go through most of my days. I'm like, I don't think I encountered one professional today. They must all take the day off.
Yeah, it's just one of the things about this industry. It goes downhill fast sometimes. And, there's a lot of frustration and a lot of anger out there. No one's making a lot of money right now. So people are stressed out. And that stress is really wearing on everybody else. And it shows. It's just something that everyone needs to do better in dealing with. If you ask my wife, who's a licensed professional counselor, she'd say go into counseling, which is something I've been meaning to do for a while, and I probably still should. But you need to do something to try to tamper down the intense passions that this industry provokes.
Dude, your wife should be an on-call arbitrator for things like this. You know what I mean? Like, the carrier gets mad, bro gets mad, your wife jumps in. Okay, Steve, how about you tell Pedro what you're feeling right now?
Yeah, she could be a mediator.
We're going to start that at $200 an hour, guys.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I don't want to see that invoice.
Yeah, Tim, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're dealing with that, man. I mean, it sucks to hear, but honestly, I'm not surprised. I know Hunter's not. I know John's not, man. There are some really bad actors in our industry on all sides. And I think that I like what John said, man. There's a lot of stuff going on out there, and temperatures are running high right now. They have been for a while, and things are starting to boil over and come to a head, and everybody's just kind of, going to the extremes now versus, hey, let's go back and let's be adults and let's talk about things and let's do things the professional way. Let me as the broker make sure that when I give you information, it is 100% accurate, or as accurate as I have available to me. And, and carriers, doing the things that you say that you're going to do, being there at these times, other mitigating circumstances, aside or whatever. But, everyone just going through and doing their job, I think, is honestly the one thing we're all missing here. Like, when you get right down to it, I really think that's what it is. It's just everyone just do your damn job. Shippers, man, hey, give accurate information, pay good rates, be flexible. If a driver's 15 minutes late, you were supposed to close 15 minutes ago. Like, dude, chill out. Like, just unload the guy or the girl and get them the hell off your property. Brokers, like I said, be honest, be transparent. With as much as you can. There are some companies that will not allow brokers to give out certain information like shippers and receiver info and stuff like that. So, really just everybody do our jobs, man. I really think if people just did that, aside from all the double brokering and the scam stuff, I think things would go a lot smoother, man. I really, really, really feel that in my soul. If we would just all wake up and do what the hell we're supposed to do and not try to find a way to screw each other over every day, things would be so much better.
It's just like Dale said here. It's simply treating each other just like humans. We're all people. We got things going on at the end of the day. Like, come on. Just do right by one another. Life's easy. People make it hard.
Unless you follow the Logistics Lounge, then you are the lizard people.
Then it's a little more interesting, but
So with the 10 minutes or so we got left, guys, what is the worst that you've dealt with when it comes to fraud in this industry? What's the worst story you guys have been through?
That'd probably be my first ever drayage project ever in my first year of brokering. So I had a huge drayage customer out of Long Beach. Kind of knew what I was doing. Seemed easy enough. Things were going grand, and this project ended about a month in. We probably ran upwards of like 900 different containers, whether pulling or shuttling from yard to yard. And the carrier obviously was sending us over all these invoices while I was working for one of the big brokerages, and they wanted us to clear the boards. They did not want to, our accounting team didn't want to see anything on the boards, yada, yada. So they ended up started paying some of this stuff, and my customer comes back and he starts disputing invoices. Well, I guess this is a little bit of the company, a little bit of the carrier. And so they ended up paying all this money to this carrier, and my customer comes back and he's like, hey, everything went well, but some of these rates, I don't really agree with. We just need to shave off a little bit here and there. Well, I get pinned with the task of calling this carrier up and seeing what's going on. Like, hey, can you send us this paperwork, yada, yada. Well, come to find out, they completely shut down their business, quote unquote. Like, shut down all their phone numbers, couldn't get a hold of anybody. Like, I couldn't get a hold of my OG, like my original dispatcher. And so they took off with about $200,000 undocumented freight, and I got stuck with the bill. Yeah, it was bad. But I did digging, man. I was like borrowing people's cell phones off the street. Like, hey, can I call this number really quick? And I finally got them on. But yeah, like they just completely, like they knew that they had screwed me over, because this is one of the things I've learned. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. But they were one of those bottom feeders. They were late charging us with all these back bills and stuff. And this company I was working for had not dealt with drayage yet. So our department is still being built up. And they just completely went off the map and just left us with this. Yeah, it was bad, man. It was bad. And but yeah, outside of that, I mean, we've had some. I've never personally had freight get stolen. I've seen it happen, but probably the worst thing that I've dealt with after that one is the truckload from California to Illinois, where they just took the doors off, put a phone in for tracking, and sent it on the rails. And it took 2 weeks to get a 3-day ship, a 3-day truckload to where it was supposed to be. And that was about it. But day by day, man, they're still in the inbox, trying to pull a smooth one.
Yeah, I want to address Dale's comment here, and Dale, thanks for bringing this up. One of the and I wholeheartedly agree, FMCSA needs to do something about this crap. I know in my world, I would have FMCSA stop accepting new authorities for a minimum of 6 months. Period. Just flat, and that would help go a long way to try to clean up the industry. But the reason why they can't is the Motor Carrier Act of 1980, where anyone who has the capability and checks the boxes on being able to get an authority is automatically granted an authority. So there are supposed to be no barriers to entry into this industry because of the Motor Carrier Act of 1980. So that is definitely something that needs to be fixed before you can hold FMCSA's feet to the fire about granting authorities to anyone who just steps up and says, I want an authority. They're required to do that by law. So fun stuff on that one.
My tidbit on that thing real quick with Dale is I've said it for a while now. When it comes to FMCSA, that shit needs to be privatized. 1,000%. Those people are just sitting over there, their fancy cushy jobs with their GS 15 or 22 fucking rating, making $90,000 a year. They don't give a rat's patootie who comes in this thing. But you start subcontract that stuff out to people like John and Udell, like Freight Validate and freaking eCare Check, all these people, folks that care, then things will get done and stuff will start being fixed. Until that, hey, I won't, I say all the time about what the great communicator says, man, there's nothing that the government can do that the private industry can't do better. On the worst double broker thing. So one of them, I really wouldn't say that I got scammed. It was more a factoring company got scammed, but I had someone that picked up a power only trailer for me. It was a loadout. It was going down Laredo. They loaded it on a JB Hunt load, picked it up with beer. Actually, coincidentally, Tim, this one comes back to you. JB Hunt messed up on the delivery appointment. And it was only the time they put that it delivered at the beer place, I think at 10 p.m. and why on the Raycon it was not military time. It said 10 with a p.m. and it was actually supposed to be 10 a.m. that day. And anyway, the carrier said, oh man, forget this. We live, 65 miles from here. And they literally dropped the trailer out of Love's and just left. And coincidentally, we ended up getting it fixed and all that stuff. But the factoring company called us, days later, asking us about getting paid for the loadout trailer that we gave them. And it was $1,000 loadout trailer. And we're like, nah. And they're like, oh, well, we paid them on this. And I said, did you by chance pay them on the beer load that was on it too? And she said, who was that with? I said, JB Hunt. She said, yeah, we sure did. Fucking sucks to be you. So I didn't get screwed, but that's the worst one I've heard of. I will talk about one other one that I really don't know how to classify it, except it was funny as all get out. But I had a plant customer, a load got picked up by a carrier. That carrier took the load, took it to the receiver and told the receiver, hey, can we drop the trailer here? Because he wasn't going to be able to unload it that day because they came late. And he was like, yeah, sure. Just, drop it here. I'll unload it over the weekend, come back and pick it up Monday. Fast forward like 3 months later, he ended up selling that trailer under a lien and made like $5,000 off of it. They just left it there. Never came back for it. Never answered my calls, his calls, nobody's calls. So I don't know whose trailer it really, actually I lie. I think it ended up being some mega carrier's trailer that they sold at auction. And they told him, we don't care. We already got paid for the trailer. So he ended up getting a lien through the state of Georgia and sold that trailer to a buddy of his down the street for like $5,000.
Oh my God. So. John, you'll have to get Matt Clark on here sometime so he can tell his Nutella story.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to hear that. Dale, comment there. And I think this one comment here plays right into the fact that FMCSA does, well, literally a half-assed job. They go ahead, they grant the authority, but they don't follow up on what goes on the backside. And compliance is everything. Brokers and carriers are putting a lot of effort into compliance. Why the hell isn't FMCSA doing the same thing?
Just what Hunter said.
They want that money. Give them that money. They don't care.
Oh yeah,
that's it. Just a revenue
stream. It's up to us after that to figure out who the bad guys are.
Yeah. Hey man, it's
out of the Office Depot.
Yeah. It's just like if I got a Coca-Cola vending machine sitting outside front of my house right now, right? And you go up there and I got Coke, Sprite, Dr. Pepper, all this stuff in there, but when you press that Coke button, it's Walmart brand cola. You know what I mean? Or it's Walmart brand Sprite. hey, as long as someone keeps buying those sodas, I have no incentive to actually put the name brand product in it. You know what I mean? So there you go, right there.
Well, guys, why don't we take the last few seconds? Go ahead and plug your show when you guys are on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, find us at the Logistics Lounge. We're on LinkedIn, YouTube, and X right now. You can find us on LinkedIn and YouTube at the Logistics Lounge. X, we are just at Logistics Lounge. We go on live every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesdays and Thursdays at 3:30 Central Time, and Friday at 6 p.m. Central Time.
You mean 4
We
p.m.?
have 4 p.m. Excuse
You
me.
meant 1600. I knew what you meant.
Yeah. You know how it goes. Seeing who's listening. But yeah, find us across there. We have some great content coming out daily. We have great guests. John Cantor was one of the first guests we've ever had on. Crazy to see how we're here now. You know, it's you were on when we were
full circle,
still figuring it out. But yeah, find us there. If you got any questions, you can contact me or Rob or Pedro at any of our personal pages or on X. These are our little tags below, handles, and yeah, be sure to go follow this guy if you're on our page.
Much appreciated, guys. If you ever have any issues with fraud in the industry and you need some help trying to get stuff done, whether you're dealing with a double brokered load, you're considering holding cargo hostage, dealing with claims, etc., just contact us, dbbh.hotline.vigilanttransport.com, or contact Kate at kprice@rockdovefs.com, and we're happy to help in any way that we can. Thank you very much to the guys of the Logistics Lounge. Definitely look forward to having you guys out again, and we will catch everybody out next week, 5 p.m. Central. Stay safe out there, folks. Take care.